And we're back with the last week of comics for February 2012. Okay, we're going to start out with Justice League Dark number 6. What'd you think?
Well, first of all, I love this cover. I love that it's Zatanna sitting on what looks to be like Shade's coat, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Because it looks like it's wrapping around. And I like Xanadu in the background with the skull eye pupil things.
Yep.
As for the comic itself, I thought it was pretty cool. I think it's interesting that right now some of the most dangerous stuff for them is themselves. And I like the fact that Shade's construct is creepy and crazy enough that when Zatanna tells it to go away, that it changes itself. That was pretty awesome. And I like Shade's little avatar thing. The thing that he uses to like punch stuff, I guess. When they make a metal thing.
Right.
Yeah. That I like that. And I like the story. I think I would have been fine without the crossover with iVampire, but on the other hand, it does make sense because it definitely seems like that dark magic occult kind of thing that they would be dealing with.
Sure.
Because I think that's what was advertised with the whole Justice League Dark thing, is that they'd be taking care of the darker things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. This. Here are issue 6, and it gives us the real premise as to why this group exists. They exist because if they don't hold together and kind of watch over each other separately, they will cause chain of events that will have horrific consequences on everything.
Yeah,
basically, is what we get. That's an interesting idea. I mean, these people really don't care for each other, that much. But they have to stick together, because if they don't stick together, these horrible nightmares that they were having could potentially come true and whatnot. Yeah. That's gonna make this a really cool comic if they continue forward with that. Of course, with Milligan going off the book and Lemire coming on the book, he may decide he's not going to work with that concept. But I like that idea. That's interesting. No mind warp in this issue. They mention him. I don't know if he's going to be I think that the cast of characters that are in this might change some when we change writers. So I'm not sure exactly who all is going to be there and who's not.
Well, I like who we all have there now.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting mix. I don't mind the crossover at all. It makes perfect sense. I mean, it's obviously a dark power, because in the iVampire, supposedly Bennett, our main character, ancient vampire, has died, and supposedly upon his death, Cain is rising up out of hell.
Yeah.
That would be, if it's really Cain or anything close to Cain, obviously that would be a significant enough of a metaphysical thing that obviously our superpowered magic people would be the first people that would be cluing in on it. So that's pretty cool. Art, as always, for me, just absolutely rocks in this.
Yeah, the art, it's awesome.
Granted,
the way things are executed like they're nightmares.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat biased in this book because, like I said, it works with a lot of the characters I like a lot. I love the magical-based characters of the DC universe, so any book that's got a bunch of them in it always makes me happy. But yeah, I really like this one. I don't know. I mean, this could have been the first issue.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I did not that I disliked the whole T.H.U.N.D.E.R Enchantress arc. That was fine and whatnot. But this easily could have been that first thing, drawing them all together. At least finally now she's explained to them, look, this is why y'all got to stick together.
Yeah. It was.
And so far everybody seems to be buying into that. So we'll see how they push the boundaries of that going forward and stuff.
We keep calling everybody on this team magical. Is Shade really magical though? I thought he was just kind of
his M-Vest?
His own thing.
Well, his M-Vest is he's manipulating the metaphysical plane, and we all kind of assume that that's a magic in a sense. Magic is science, unless well, magic is science. Magic is magic until it can be explained, and then it's science, right? Supposedly.
Yep.
I don't know. So there we are. Yeah. Well, I don't know if mind warp was magical either.
Yeah.
I don't know how his mind warp power works. But anyway, metaphysical in some sense or another. They all seem to be.
Yeah.
But like I said, I really enjoyed this story.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, this would actually be a decent jumping on point.
Yeah.
I mean, you could read this if this was the first one you read. You know they had some beef with each other in the past, but this is where they're at, and this is where they need to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who's not collecting this, has any kind of interest, if you don't want to go back and pick up those other 5 issues or pick up the trade whenever it comes out, number 6 is a good issue to jump on with. What do you rank it?
I'd give it a strong 3.
Yep. Same here. Pretty close to a 4, but not quite.
Not quite. Nope.
Okay.
Teen Titans, number 6.
As you can tell, Ethan's really excited by this issue and this comic in general. I'm not too excited by this book either. There were some okay points in this. I don't know, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's going much of any place. I don't know that I'm going to keep collecting this. There's nothing that's that exciting about it that makes you want to keep holding on. I like the way they changed some of the characters in it. I kind of like Wonder Girl now. I like the new costume and the bracelets and whatnot. That's interesting. She's a character I'm actually interested in. And quite frankly, I'm surprised I'm more interested in just Superboy, even though he's hardly been in the book at all. He has more interest to me than most of these other characters. Even the reveal of what Kid Flash might be doesn't interest me that much.
Yeah.
The Nowhere thing doesn't interest me all that much.
No.
I mean, I'm confused by, since when did they start holding prisoners in Star Labs? It seems kind of crazy. Let's house some of the most dangerous people in the same building that we have some of the most potentially dangerous experiments and stuff going on.
Yeah.
I
guess he's one of those dangerous experiments.
Well, I guess in some way, but I do like the fact that they go to Static Shock, though, that they go to Virgil. That's cool. A good way to introduce him into this book, because they need to do something with the character, I think, because obviously his book's going out, and we like the character. The comic wasn't that good, but we like the character. So, I mean, that's a good introduction. It makes a certain amount of sense. I think it's real curious in this book where it has Red Robin trying to contact the Justice League and Batman.
Yeah.
Well, if he has those abilities, why isn't he contacting these people?
Because if Nowhere is all that big, I mean,
is it pride? Is it just that he's uber Tim Drake, so he can figure it out for himself? He doesn't need anybody else to help him, except for more of his peers.
Tim Drake is a loser, then.
I don't know. I'm just asking. What do you think of the book? Is that your answer to it? Okay.
I don't like to spend lots of time bad-mouthing stuff. I guess this comic, though, just takes the cake of comics that I don't like.
Yeah.
First of all, on the cover, I know this guy isn't necessarily, all right and stuff. I mean, I know he pretty much secretes poison, but his pinky is messed up. His pinky comes out farther than, the rest of his fingers, and it's weird. As for him...
So you're picking on the pinky?
Yeah.
Just like last time we did reviews, you're picking on a guy's hairline?
Yep.
Okay.
I like the idea for their character, and I like his costume. I like the ripped up straight jacket and the creepy, messed up face. And I like the idea of him, but...
Grim.
Yeah, grim.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I mean, I don't think they did much with him. And, I mean, they said that they got lucky beating him. They got way too lucky beating him. I mean, I swear I just about pulled out the Staples That Was Easy button and, beat myself to death with it. I don't like this comic. The art is okay. I go back and forth on it. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I don't. As for the story, for me, it could only get worse if, Dan Ditto was writing it. I don't think it can go downhill much more from this.
So what's it lacking? What's it lacking in a story? What do you want to see? What do you want to see the story have in it? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not sure whether
Lots of
there's
romance?
something. No. No.
Okay.
I'm not sure that it's... What it's lacking is, I think it just needs a better story. I don't think that... I mean, I think they could do something with Nowhere. I just don't think they're doing it well. I don't think it's being executed well. It just doesn't feel like it is being written well. I don't like the writing for it. I don't like how they execute stuff.
Do you care about any of these characters?
Nope. I don't care about the characters.
See, that's the biggest problem, isn't it?
Yep.
Isn't that the biggest problem? I mean, the only reason we get this is because we're holdovers from thinking the Teen Titans were going to be good before and hoping they're going to be good when they were good.
We were like, okay, before the relaunch, way back when they had like variety on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Like they didn't have Beast Boy or Raven. Wow.
Yeah.
But they had like Wonder Girl, and they didn't have Robin on the team. They had like Wonder Girl and Blue Beetle and
Static Shock was on it.
Aqua Girl
Uh-huh.
and Bombshell and Ravager.
Right, Miss Manhunter.
That was, and occasionally Damien.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I like that. And then they went to the classic people, and it just sucked. And then, then when we saw the relaunch with like Skitter, and it had Superboy and Wonder Girl and Red Robin,
Mm-hmm.
I was excited for it. We were excited for it. And then it turned out to be this, and I guess our expectations were too high because for me it just went downhill. It was like, oh, cool. This will be cool. I like the first issue. I like the second issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the third issue.
Right, it just kind of
and then
slid
there's
for
the fourth issue and the fifth issue, and then there's this issue, and it's just like, oh, get it over with. I mean,
for me, my issue is I don't think it's so much it's so much the storyline. Is that we haven't been given a reason to care about these characters, really.
no.
They have no emotional depth, in my opinion, for us to be interested in these characters. Now, if you're a fan of one of these characters, maybe you like this book because you like those characters.
But
it's like for me in the Green Arrow stuff. I'm gonna like the Green Arrow book to some degree because it's a Green Arrow book, regardless of how bad they damage it. Right.
Yeah.
And
well, I am a fan, though. I like Wonder Girl, especially this new Wonder Girl, and I like Virgil.
So for you, it is the story.
Yeah, it's the story, but it's also the characters. I mean, the characters aren't that developed, and like this character in this, I think he could have been a really interesting character to have around for a few issues, but it's just like, oh, here's this character. I mean, it felt like he was there just so he could be there while they solve the Kid Flash problem.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, this conversation is kind of a clue in the fact that we're probably not going to keep collecting this book. Now, I pre-order 2 or 3 months in advance, so we'll review 2 or 3 more issues of this book, but I have to do an order at some point this month. We're in the middle of March. Before the end of March, so I have to order more books. This probably won't go on my list of things to order. There are other books I want to pick up, and this makes it financially easier to pick up those other books. Yeah. So, if one of you out there thinks we're mistaken and we're missing something in this and we should be collecting it, go ahead and leave some comments for us.
Please point it out.
Convince us why we should be picking up this book, other than it's the Teen Titans and that's why we should be picking it up, because we're past that now at this point. Anyway, let's move on to cooler and funner things.
Yay!
What's next?
The Sixth Gun, issue 19. Yay!
Yay! Of course, if you've been watching,
Saved.
If you've been watching me and Ethan on our 30 Days of Comics and that sort of thing, we talk about
how cool this.
I think so. I try to remember what day we're on. I can't remember what day we're on. If we've actually gotten to the day where we talk about Sixth Gun yet. Anyway, Sixth Gun's a huge Sixth Guns fan.
Well, like for instance, when we did our favorite characters, my favorite characters were Pre-Launch Batgirl and Drake Sinclair.
Right.
It was the semi-main character. He used to be the really main character, but we haven't been seeing him so much lately.
Well, he's back in this. Back in this one, though.
He's back. But I also like them doubling with Becky as.
Yep. So Becky's in the town of Penance, and she finds out a lot more about Penance in this issue, and New Penance, and just all the craziness that's going on. The well is pretty awesome. You live forever. Of course, you also become kind of a rotten zombie freak in the process of it.
The well kind of, in a sense, the well reminds me of the well in Samurai Jack, where...
People are going to remember that. Okay.
Okay, yes, well, the well in Samurai Jack, and there's this episode of Samurai Jack where there's just this... Yeah, where there's this... starts out this army of robots, and it charges this tower, and the entire army gets obliterated within, 5 minutes. And so Jack decides that he's going to go this well because he heard that on the top of this tower that the army is storing, there's this well. He'll grant you any wish, but it's impossible to get to. And there's these 3 archers on top of the well. And so Jack, because he's Jack, makes it to the top of the well, and he beats the 3 archers. He jumps and gets them to shoot themselves. And it turns out there are people who got to the well first, and they said they wish that they wanted to be ultimate warriors, so it suckered them into being that. And this well reminds me of that because, I mean, yeah, you get to be all like,
it's got a perk.
Awesome, but you become addicted to it, you can't live without it, and you become messed up and weird.
Mutated, and you make Elephant Man look pretty good. So, that's pretty interesting. And of course, half, and the town is also being financed by Drake Sinclair's old running mates, the people he used to run with after the Civil War, and they're another metaphysical group that's trying to gain power and whatnot. Of course, they want the guns
to unlock the safe thing.
They've kind of beat up Drake for a while, and Drake decides to
join
them. One condition is they can't hurt Becky. Well, of course, they can't really guarantee that. Of course, he's lying through his teeth.
Yeah.
Drake is. He has no intentions of helping them. And he gets exposed at one point about that.
The psychics.
But we get to see some cool, more background on Drake, about how he dealt with them and how he became a traitor to them. That he owed some other people. And Drake pays his debts. Even if it means screwing somebody else in the process, if he already has a debt. Man, this comic just kicked it up a notch again with this issue. It's just now that we're away from the missions and stuff, and it's gotten really excited again to see exactly what all's going to happen here.
They keep pulling out new stuff, and it feels like a Western, which is also cool because I like Westerns, and it feels like a Western. It just feels more like a Western, like Wild West felt like a Western.
That's cooler than that, because Wild West was just some funky mechanical things, and this is just some, wild stuff goes on and whatnot.
This is more voodoo than mechanical.
Yeah, and it's just great. This is just such an absolutely fun title. Like I said, this issue really is kicking it up a notch again. Really picking it up and really being fun. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and really excited to see what's going to happen in the next issue. How Drake's going to deal with the... Bless you.
Thank you.
How Drake's going to deal with the psychics that have just exposed him as being a liar once again.
Yeah.
And, of course, Becky's got herself caught between both towns and potentially being force-fed some of the water.
Yeah.
So, all craziness could ensue.
Yeah. I'd give this a 5 out of 5. It's just a really, really good comic.
Yep.
I haven't doubted this comic since we picked up the very first trade. This comic has just always been something that I read and go, yeah, I'm gonna read this.
Yep.
And then I ended going, wow, that was awesome. I can't wait for the next issue.
Right.
So.
Right. Yep. And hey, this never misses its release date. Has never missed its release date. We're on issue 19. It always comes out when it's supposed to. So you can set your clocks by it to know when the next issue's coming out. Pretty awesome stuff. Great work all the way around. Really enjoying the heck out of it. And then last but not least is Thunder Agents number 4 of the limited series. This is the second series.
Yep.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was interesting. We got to see more on what Demo's purpose is. I had one issue with this, and that's with the doctor, the man, I guess, because I can't remember his name right now.
No Man. Uh-huh.
He seemed, I know it's his long-lost friend, and he's happy, but it just seemed like he had way too much emotion for me. It feels like he's getting more and more emotion. I don't know if they intended to do that, but I thought it was the other way around, and he was losing himself. So, and I don't think he's attached enough to anybody on this current team. Plus, even if he was, they're pretty much all dying out right now. That he would make progress and regain
Well,
being
maybe,
who he was.
yeah, maybe this is his last push of humanity, though.
I
Because I
guess.
kind of worried that too. Because last time we reviewed this comic, we questioned that then too, that he seemed to be, this is a person from his past, so it's something that he can get attached to more of that old doctor. Get attached to him more. It'd be like if suddenly his wife showed back up. Maybe he'd be reattached to that, even though he watched her, basically hang herself in the last. They showed the last miniseries. So yeah, that's somewhat questionable, but it's just hard. I think it's hard for him. I don't think it's that he's emotionless. He's not. He's not totally Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. He has some level of emotion. It's just it takes him more to be in touch with that, I think. And there's enough going on right now that he is that more animated because the only thing he's really got left is the team, is the Thunder agents. Mm-hmm. So that's his concern, is helping those people out. And this is a person from his past that he thought he knew and he thought he liked and whatnot, and is now
kind of off the deep end.
Well, he's playing both sides. He wants to. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what's happening. I'm enjoying this book quite a bit. I like more of the backstory we're getting in it.
Yeah.
As far as going on, the manipulation that's still going on. We find out that Lightning in the first series we read. It was implied that the government screwed him and planted evidence on to make him be to show up as using illegal drugs in his running, and basically get him shamed out of being in the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. And so he had nothing left in his life but to be this person, at the great risk that's involved when you're gonna. And we find out
it's true.
He was true. He really was. So one of my friends that read the first one of this stuff and hated it because he thought the government was so despicable. Why would he want to continue to read a book when the government was so despicable? We find out here that the government didn't screw him. And that's one of the things that he was so upset about and whatnot, which I actually thought was kind of cool that the government did screw him. But it was surprising in this to find out that he was. So maybe both happened. Maybe the government did screw him, but maybe he also was doing illegal stuff. Obviously, he says he was doing illegal stuff.
Yeah.
So he was doing illegal stuff, but maybe the government screwed him too, because they applied that pretty heavily. That the government screwed him also. So he got caught for something the government screwed on him, but he really was doing something wrong also on top of it.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting.
That
was cool. I thought it was cool where he does his last run of his life.
That was awesome.
I think his book is great, but I'm curious to talk to one of my other friends who didn't pick up the first set, and he's getting this. How much of this book would you understand if you hadn't read the first miniseries? There's a lot of this,
much,
right?
Almost nothing.
I mean, I don't think unless you know a lot about these characters, you don't know that this guy, when he's running super fast, every time he uses that power, he shortens his life, and he can actually
he sees it.
He sees his deaths.
He sees each death as it goes, and each one gets worse.
So in this book, he
worse
scoops
and
up a couple
worse.
people and goes racing across this place to try and get them to this place they need to be at. And while he's racing, they don't show it this time, but he's seen multiple deaths as he's going, and multiples of his death, and until he does die.
Yeah.
Basically. So yeah. This is pretty awesome.
And then there's what's-her-face, who's a sleeper agent, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
Not a sleeper agent, but a double agent.
Well, a triple agent, quadruple agent, who knows?
Whatever you want to call it.
She's working for the government. She's working for
the government.
And she's working for herself, obviously, because she did nothing.
Yeah.
And then she's possibly the inside guy for Dynamo and the crew of creatures that live under the ground and whatnot.
And she's also the agent for the old
Spider, no.
Yeah. No,
for the scientist too.
Yeah. The sleeper.
So I don't know. I think she's playing everybody. I think she's just out for her own.
Herself,
and I think she's the new Iron Maiden, whether she wants to admit it or not. She's like her mom.
Yeah.
Even more so. Crazy, but very cool. I really enjoyed this comic. I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Yes, 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, it's exciting, but my suggestion would be is that anybody who's thinking about possibly getting this is you want to pick up the trade of the first one first.
Definitely.
This one's different, but I think that information gives you a lot more to think about with this book.
Yeah, get the trade and read this.
Yep. Anyway, that's it for the last week of February of 2012 for us.
Yep.
Have a good one.